The Darklands are home to monsters unheard of in the rest of the Warhammer world. Great Tauruses swoop through the sky, and the demon engines of the Chaos Dwarfs roll over the landscape. Yet not all of the land's creatures are bloodthirsty monsters given to unthinking bouts of rage. Others are cunning, devious beasts that seek to ruin in a more subtle fashion. Such is the case of the Lammasu, hideous creatures possessing the body of a bull, the wings of a bat, and the sneering face of a Chaos Dwarf. Their lashing, mace-like tails can pulverize plate armor, and their broad horns can rip an enemy to shred, but it is their brilliant mind and command of the Darklands magic that makes them so dangerous. The sorcerer prophets of the Chaos Dwarves believe that Lammasus are a rare mutation of Great Taurus. As Great Tauruses are in turn thought to be mutated Chaos Dwarfs, this would make Lammasus a most unusual variant of the Dawizar strain. Interestingly, this mutation has made the Lammasu slower and weaker than their Great Taurus ancestors, though they're still obviously more physically powerful than normal Chaos Dwarfs. To compensate for their diminished physical capabilities, however, Lammasus have been given a keen mind and an instinctive command over the winds of magic, unheard of in their bestial kin. They can hurl spells from the lores of fire, death, and shadow against unsuspecting enemies who expected to face a mere beast in battle. Even more impressive than this, however, is the backwash of magical energy that accompanies their spellcasting. This creates a cloud of foul black smoke that clings to the Lammasu like a jealous lover. The smoke protects the Lammasu from hostile magic, dispersing spells harmlessly and dampening the power of nearby magical weapons. Even the most powerful of magical artifacts are rendered mundane when striking at these cruel creatures. Some particularly dangerous Lammasus can also use their smoky breath as a weapon in of itself, unleashing its magical power as a devastating blast of raw eldritch energy. Despite their impressive magical power, Lammasus hate to enter into battle themselves. They are wise and crafty, preferring to convince others to fight in their place. Lammasus are incredibly skilled at this, as they possess an unearthly charisma in spite of their bestial appearance. When reinforced with sorcery designed to befuddle the mind, there are few creatures that can resist their influence. Great Tauruses, Wyverns, Pegasi, and Griffins can all be dominated by Lammasus. Only creatures so consumed by rage that words are little more than noise can resist their commands, and even then, not for long. Chaos Dwarfs and Lammasus have had a working relationship for several thousand years at this point. The magical beasts will act as mounts for the powerful Dawizar, letting renowned sorcerer prophets, demonsmiths, and overseers ride them into battle. Lammasus are crafty creatures, however, and even the Chaos Dwarfs aren't always sure who is the master and who is the puppet between the two. This creates tension between Mount and Rider, as both are incredibly proud and stubborn, but the results on the battlefield are well worth the struggles for dominance. Between the Chaos Dwarfs' black-hearted determination and the Lammasus' magical prowess, few of the Darklands inhabitants stand a chance against such a duo. In Total War Warhammer, Lammasus are a flying monstrous unit on the Chaos Dwarf roster. They can be taken either by themselves or as a mount for Zatan the Black, Overseers, Sorcerer Prophets, and Demonsmiths. The Lammasus' baseline stats aren't particularly good or bad, though the fact they don't do a lot of armor-piercing damage and their armor value is 45 are major weaknesses you can't overlook in a monster that costs 1,300 gold in multiplayer. This was a smart move on CA's part, though, as it represents their physical weakness in comparison to their Great Taurus relatives without making them completely useless. They can still lay into low armor monsters themselves, after all. If you do bring a Lammasu, you aren't bringing them because of their close combat capabilities. You're bringing them because of their special abilities. They have two bound spells, the Withering and the Enfeebling Foe, both of which can be used once per battle. This can help mitigate their relatively unimpressive stat line, reducing an enemy's melee attack, melee defense, armor, and leadership if all of them are used at once. This can let the Lammasu pull off a pretty impressive gooning attempt, especially if supported by another fast monster. It also helps them compensate for their lack of armor-piercing weapon damage, which is a nice touch. Their most unique ability, however, is their Sorcerer's Miasma. This ability removes magical attacks from nearby enemies, making any physical resistance your units possess much more impactful. As far as mounts go, Lammasus are a mixed bag. They make the characters very fast, for a Chaos Dwarf, and their bound spells can do a real number when dueling another character. They can even make Demonsmiths and Sorcerer Prophets competent combat characters, which is very nice. They do have one weakness that's very hard to overlook, however. Lammasus reduced the very respectable 120 armor value of most Chaos Dwarf lords to a mere 60. This is practically a death sentence for a combat character that doesn't have access to healing or lots of physical resistance, especially when they're such a large target. You can probably get away with this when fighting a faction that doesn't have a lot of ranged firepower, but you might want to leave the Lamasu at home if you're expecting to fight a horde of quarrelers or handgunners. That brings us to the end of our overview of Lammasus. All in all, they're pretty nifty little monsters, and I think CA did an excellent job implementing their abilities in the lore into the game. I don't know if I'd use any of them in my armies, but I could definitely see their application. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more stuff like it, you should subscribe to the channel to be alerted when I release another one. Also, if there's something you want to see, be sure to comment it down below. This video was requested by Sarhuda's Alchemy? I hope I'm pronouncing that right, so sorry if you see this and I'm wrong. A while back, and we've finally gotten around to it! Yay! Hope it was worth the wait. I'm currently working on some projects that other people have already requested, so it might be a bit for anything that's requested down below, but I do try to get around to community suggestions as fast as possible. That's all for today though, so until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.